For nearly 3,000 years, humanity has treated the Odyssey as one of the greatest adventure stories ever written. A king fights monsters. He outwits gods. He survives impossible dangers. And after 20 years, he finally returns home. That is the version most of us learned. But what if we've been reading it too literally? What if Homer's masterpiece was never primarily about ships, islands, or even Greece? What if the oceans, monsters, and distant lands were never meant to be geographical locations at all? Across history, the world's oldest myths have often hidden philosophical ideas beneath stories, simple enough for anyone to remember. Ancient civilizations understood that stories survive longer than instruction manuals. A civilization may lose its libraries, but legends are retold for thousands of years. If that's true, then perhaps the Odyssey isn't simply telling us where Odysseus traveled. Perhaps it's explaining what happens to consciousness after it loses sight of itself. Perhaps every monster, every temptation, every delay, and every island represents a psychological state rather than a physical destination. Because when you examine the structure of the story, one strange pattern emerges. Almost nothing actually tries to kill Odysseus. Instead, almost everything tries to make him stop moving. The strange pattern nobody notices. Think carefully about the obstacles throughout the Odyssey. The Cyclops traps him. The Lotus Eaters make his crew lose interest in leaving. Circe persuades them to stay. Calypso offers comfort forever. The Sirens promise irresistible knowledge. Even the peaceful islands become places where time simply stops. Why? If these were ordinary villains, their goal would be obvious. Destroy the hero, yet most of them never attempt that. Instead, they delay him, distract him, seduce him, comfort him, or convince him that continuing the journey is unnecessary. That's an unusual design. It's almost as though the true danger isn't death. It's forgetting there was ever a journey at all. The Island of the Lotus Eaters. Among all the episodes in the Odyssey, none is stranger than the Lotus Eaters. Odysseus lands on an unfamiliar island. The inhabitants aren't hostile. They don't attack. They don't imprison anyone. They simply offer food, a flower, the lotus. The men who eat it immediately lose all desire to continue traveling. They don't become sick. They don't become violent. They simply forget why they were sailing. They no longer wish to return home. Odysseus has to physically drag them back onto the ship while they beg to remain. From a purely military perspective, this scene seems insignificant. From a symbolic perspective, it may be the most important chapter in the entire poem. Because the lotus doesn't destroy the traveler, it destroys the purpose of traveling. And that distinction changes everything. Forgetting as the greatest threat. Modern readers usually assume memory loss is simply part of the story. Ancient philosophers may have seen something much deeper. Across dozens of civilizations appears one recurring idea. Human beings don't begin life completely ignorant. Instead, they begin life having forgotten something. Different traditions describe this differently. Some speak of forgotten wisdom, others describe a hidden divine nature, others speak about awakening. Different languages, same pattern. The central problem isn't acquiring knowledge, it's remembering something already buried beneath everyday existence. In that light, Odysseus isn't merely searching for Ithaca. He's trying not to lose himself while traveling through a world designed to make him forget who he is. Plato and the forgotten knowledge. Centuries after Homer, the philosopher Plato introduced a remarkable concept called anamnesis. According to Plato, learning is not creating knowledge, it is recovering it. He argued that the soul already possesses truth before entering earthly life. Education simply removes the layers covering that truth. Whether one accepts Plato literally or metaphorically, the idea is fascinating. If truth already exists within us, then life's greatest challenge isn't discovery, it's remembrance. Suddenly, the Odyssey looks different. Odysseus repeatedly remembers his destination, while everyone around him encourages forgetting. His greatest victory isn't defeating monsters, it's refusing to abandon the search, Circe and the animal within. Then comes Circe. She transforms men into animals. For centuries, readers have interpreted this as magical fantasy. But myths often express psychological realities through impossible imagery. What separates humans from animals? Not intelligence alone. Self-awareness. Reflection. Calypso's perfect prison. If evil always appeared frightening, resisting it would be easy. Calypso offers something much more dangerous. Comfort, safety, immortality, no responsibilities, no struggle, no uncertainty. Stay here forever. Forget the journey, forget the destination, forget home. At first glance, this sounds like paradise. Yet Odysseus refuses. Why? Because comfort can become a prison when it asks you to abandon your purpose. Not every cage has bars. Some are beautifully decorated. The Cyclops and the illusion of power. The Cyclops is usually remembered as a giant monster with one eye. But perhaps the most revealing detail isn't his size. It's his vision. He sees only one perspective, only one reality, only one way. Odysseus survives not because he is stronger, but because he thinks differently. He changes identity. He calls himself nobody. The trick has fascinated readers for centuries. Symbolically, however, something even deeper may be happening. Sometimes survival requires setting aside the ego that constantly insists, I, me, my. Only when Odysseus temporarily abandons that identity does escape become possible. Ironically, his greatest mistake comes later when pride forces him to reveal his real name. The moment ego returns, the consequences begin. Is Ithaca even a place? Perhaps the biggest assumption readers make is that Ithaca represents geography. But what if home is something else? Across literature, home often symbolizes more than a location. It represents identity, belonging, wholeness, inner peace, the end of wandering. Odysseus spends years moving across oceans, yet his greatest struggle is maintaining clarity about where he truly belongs. Without that internal compass, every island becomes a permanent destination. Every distraction becomes a new identity. Every comfort becomes an excuse to stop. Perhaps Ithaca isn't valuable because of where it exists. Perhaps it's valuable because it reminds the traveler who they are. Why ancient myths never die. Civilizations disappear. Empires collapse. Languages vanish. Yet myths survive. Why? Because they don't merely describe historical events, they describe recurring human experiences. The names change, the emotions remain. Fear, temptation, hope, distraction, identity, purpose, loss, return. Every generation eventually discovers that life isn't simply about moving through the world. It's about avoiding becoming lost within it. That may be why the Odyssey continues speaking to people after nearly 3,000 years, not because everyone has sailed across dangerous seas, but because everyone has experienced becoming separated from the person they hoped to become. The Final Decode, perhaps Homer's greatest achievement, wasn't writing an adventure story. Perhaps he created a map of the human condition, a map showing that the greatest obstacles rarely appear as monsters. They appear as comfort, as distraction, as endless delay, as the quiet voice saying, "You can stop now." The Odyssey reminds us that the hardest journey isn't crossing oceans. It's remaining faithful to a destination when the world constantly offers easier alternatives. Whether you see the poem as history, literature, philosophy, or symbolic psychology, one lesson continues echoing across the centuries. Home is not simply somewhere you arrive. What if the greatest danger in life isn't getting lost, but forgetting there was ever a journey in the first place? Every person has a different lotus, something that quietly steals time, attention, or purpose without us even noticing. For some, it's endless distraction. For others, it's comfort, fear, or the belief that there's always tomorrow. What do you think your modern lotus is? Share your thoughts in the comments. I read every one.